Welcome, Rabbi Isai, to another Chazara Shiur. We're doing one right after the next. Sugיא Yud Ches, Sugיא Chai, from the word Chayus, life, livelihood. Let's jump right in. This Sugיא focuses on the last two cases of our Mishnah. So, the third case in our Mishnah goes as follows. Two people who deposited by one person money. One gave 1 mana and one gave 2 mana. And now, when they come to collect it, one says the 200 was mine, the 2 mana was mine, and this one says the 200 was mine. And the Shemer forgot, the Shemer doesn't know. What's the din? Tanakama says, give 100 to this one and 100 to that one. And the rest, the third 100 that's in a doubt, let it wait until Eliyahu comes, until we figure it out. Or until someone can prove it. Rabbi Yossi says, no. Let all 300 wait until Eliyahu comes. Moving on to the fourth case in our Mishnah. And so too, 2 vessels, 2 kelim. One is worth 1 mana, and one is worth 1,000 mana. 1,000 zuz, which is 10 mana. Okay, let's take examples of a menorah, a simple menorah, and an antique silver menorah. Okay? And then when they come to collect it, this one says the silver one is mine, and this one says the Yafa Shali, the silver one is mine. And it doesn't remember. What is it in? And again, Tanakama says, look, give the smaller, the simple menorah to one of them, and then mitoy chagadol, and from the bigger one, meaning break off a part of the big one, meaning, let's say, like, break off all the cups that hold the oil from the silver one, and from the bigger one, Noisen, you give Dmei Katan, the money worth of the small one, Lasheni, to the second person, V'hasha'ar, and the rest, let's say the back and the base of the silver menorah, should wait until Eliyahu comes. Zakt Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says, no. Let everything, let the whole menorah, let the whole silver menorah, let the whole regular menorah, everything should wait until Eliyahu comes. So, Frag the Gemara, simple kasha. Why do I need both cases? Why does Mishnah here tell me a case with money and a case of vessels? Mishnah could have just told me one. And for the Gemara, and the Gemara is going to give two answers. One is what we're going to try with one. We're going to slug it up. We're going to disprove it. And then we're going to move on to the second answer. And for the Gemara, and for the senior hot cup, concentrate. If the Mishnah would have only told me the case of money and not the case of vessels, I would think, when does Tanakama hold? That you give this one some money and you give this one some of it and let the rest wait? In a case when it's money, where there's no loss. Give a little bit of cash to this guy, a little bit of cash to this guy, and let the rest of the cash stay here. But in a case where there is a loss, for example, the menorah, you're breaking off the cups, it's making the menorah worth less. As Rashi says, even if you're going to end up figuring out who the real owner is, right? Then you need to re-weld the cups. Right? It's not going to be the same as before. It's going to be worth less. There's a loss over here. The menorah is never going to be worth the same amount. Right? So there's a loss over here. So I would think maybe when there's a loss, maybe Tanakama admits to Rabbi Yossi that let everything wait until Eliyahu comes. Therefore, the Mishnah needs to tell me clearly. No, in a case of loss, still Tanakama holds. Give a little bit to this one, a little bit to that one, and let the rest wait until Eliyahu comes. Now, the flip side of it: if the Mishnah would have only told me kelim, if the Mishnah would have only told me vessels and not money, then I would think Rabbi Yossi only holds that you put everything away until Eliyahu comes, where there is a loss. So if there's a loss, so then put everything away until Eliyahu comes. But in a case where there is no loss, like money, maybe Rabbi Yossi will admit to Tanakama that by money, give a little bit of cash to this guy, a little bit of cash to this guy, and let the rest wait until Eliyahu comes. Therefore, the Mishnah needs to tell me, no, even in a case where there's no loss, still Rabbi Yossi holds, that you let everything wait until Eliyahu Navi comes. Okay, good. So therefore I need both cases in order to tell me that I need both cases in order to tell me that Rabbi Yossi and Tanakama argue both when there's a loss and both when there isn't a loss. Because otherwise I wouldn't be able to understand it. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to learn it. I would think maybe in the other case he doesn't hold of his opinion. Frag the Gemara on that. 1 second. How could you say that Rabbi Yossi would admit to Tanakama? You're telling me that Rabbi Yossi would admit in a case where there's no loss? No, he wouldn't. There's no way Rabbi Yossi would admit to Tanakama. Why? Because Rabbi Yossi holds everything needs to wait until the Navi comes because the swindler needs to lose out. He holds that we let everything wait because we want the liar to lose out, so he'll admit. If we know that Rabbi Yossi gave a reason, if we know that the reason is because we want the swindler to lose out, then I wouldn't think Rabbi Yossi would admit. So all the Mishnah needs to say is the case of vessels. That in a case of vessels, Tanakama holds give the regular menorah to this one, the cups of the silver menorah to this one, and let the rest of the silver menorah wait until the Navi comes. Rabbi Yossi holds, no. Let everything wait. Why? Because we want the Ganav to lose out. And I would have thought, also money, we want the Ganav to lose out. So I wouldn't think that Rabbi Yossi admits to Tanakama. How can you say that I would think Rabbi Yossi admits to Tanakama? If so, we're back to square one. Why do we need both cases? I would have learned it out if we would have just said the case of vessels. And for the Gemara, you're right. We don't actually need both cases, but the reason why we do bring them is for Rabbanan. Is because of the Rabbanan. Because if the Rabbanan would hold, if the Mishnah would have only said that by no loss, by money, Tanakama holds, give a little bit to this one, a little bit to that one, and let the rest wait, and the Rabbi Yossi holds, let everything wait, then I would think, then I would think maybe by the case of vessels, maybe Tanakama would admit to Rabbi Yossi. Therefore, the Mishnah needs to tell me also this case. Now, also by Keilim, Tanakama holds that you give a little bit to this one, a little bit to that one. And the Mishnah is said in a way of Loizu Avzu. Not only when there's no loss do you divide it up, do you give a little bit to this one, a little bit to that one, even in a case where there is a loss, even so, Tanakama holds that you divide it up. What does Loizu Avzu mean? Loizu Avzu is like the opposite of a Kal V'Chomer. Loizu Avzu is not only a smaller Chiddush, even a bigger Chiddush. Take, for example, if I told you I ran for 2 miles. Well, if I ran 2 miles, then for sure I ran 1. That's a Kal V'Chomer. Loizu Avzu is the other way around. Not only did I run 1 mile, I even ran 2 miles. That's not only this, but even this. Not only does Tanakama hold that you divide it up when there's no loss, he even says to divide it up when there is a loss. And that's why the Mishnah says both cases. For a Loizu Avzu, for the Chachamim, for Tanakama. That is the end of our Sugya. Let's learn it bifnim. Open up your Gemara close to the bottom of the page. We're holding V'chein Shnei Kelim. Most Gemaras, it's bold words. It's a quote from our Mishnah, and therefore we start off with the title. Oibin in the Mishnah haben wir gelernt. Earlier in the Mishnah we learned V'chein Shnei Kelim, and so too 2 vessels. Echad Yafa Mana, one is worth 1 mana, Echad Yafa Elav Zuz, and one is worth 1,000 zuz, Chulu, etc. And the Gemara goes straight to the answer, Utzricha, and it's needed. Both cases are needed. The Ashmu'inon, because if it would let us know, Hach Kamaisa, this first case, Behahi Ka'amri Rabbanon, in that case the Rabbanon say that you divide it up, Mishum, because the Lake of Seda, there is no loss. By money, there's no loss, So Chacham say, okay, give 100 to this one, 100 to that one. Aval Baha, but in this one, in the last case, the Ikap says of the Gadol that there is a loss of the bigger vessel, the menorah, the silver menorah is becoming decreased in value. Ema, I would say, Moidule, they admit to him, Rabbi Yaisi to Rabbi Yaisi. So therefore, the Mishnah needs to also tell me the second case. You know, so I should know that Chacham also argued in the second case. The eat my baha, now the flip side. The eat my baha. And if we would only learn in this, meaning if we would only learn the last case of this of the Mishnah, if again the eat my baha, and if we would have learned only in the last case in the Mishnah, I would think Bahaka Rabbi Yaisi. In this, Rabbi Yaisi says that you let everything sit until Eliyahu comes in the case of Kלים, in the case of vessels, where there's a loss. Aval Bahach, but in the first one, where there's no loss, Ema, I would say, maybe, which is a havamina, a thought, which gets later debunked. Ema, I would say, maybe, Moidul Rabbanon. Maybe Rabbi Yaisi admits to Rabbanon. Sricha, therefore both cases are needed. If the Mishnah would have only told me the first one, I would think they don't argue in the second one. And if the Mishnah only told me the second one, I would think that they don't argue in the first one. Let's go straight to Rashi on this Amud. Pseida de Gadol, the loss of the bigger one, is up to Rashi, shall Kli Gadol of the bigger Keli, Sheshavru, that we broke it. Ukshayav, and even when Eliyahu comes, V'yayimar, he's going to say, show me whose it is, Nimtza comes out, Mafsid b'shvirasik, that you are making decrease in value through breaking it. You're making the menorah worth less. It's never going to be the same. I would think that in a case of a loss of Kלים, that's when Rabbi Yaisi says that everything should stay. Mishum, because of, say, the loss of, I would think that Rabbi Yaisi says it only over there because of the loss of the bigger item. That's why let everything wait. That's what I would think. Moving on to the next Amud. Even the next daf. Lamed Ches Amud Aleph on the top. Frag the Gemara, 1 second. If the Mishnah would have only told me the second case, I would think that Rabbi Yaisi admits to Tanakama in the first case. No, I wouldn't. Rabbi Yaisi wouldn't admit to give a little bit to this one, a little bit to that one, and let the rest stay. Because Rabbi Yaisi wants the Ganav to lose. He wants the swindler to lose. V'ha, frag the Gemara, v'ha, and time of Rabbi Yaisi, the reason of Rabbi Yaisi, Mishum Hefsid Haramayu, is because of the loss of the swindler. And for the Gemara, Ella, rather, Tarvayu, both of the two cases in the Mishnah, L'Rabbanon Itzrich, are necessary to teach us the din of the Rabbanon. That the Rabbanon hold their din in not only the first case, even the second case. V'loizu avzu katani, and it's taught in a way, the Mishnah is taught in a way of not only the Rabbanon hold that you divide it up in a case of money where there's no loss, you also divide it up in a case where there is a loss by Kלים, by vessels. Rashi. V'ha and time of Rabbi Yaisi, the reason of Rabbi Yaisi, Mishum Hefsed Ramayu, is because of the loss of the swindlers of Rashi. The cave and since the time of Bahachi, that his reason is of such, Mali Keli, Mali Mois, what difference does it make to me? A vessel, what difference does it make to me? Money. You can't, it's not going to make a difference. Rabbi Yaisi is still going to hold, don't give a little bit to this one, a little bit to that one. Let everything wait until Navi comes. We want the Ganav to lose out. We want him to end up admitting. And how could you conclude to think, Lemeimar, to say, the Bemois, that by money, he would admit to the Rabbanon. Ve'amai, and why, Itzrich Lemeimar, according to, why do you need to have both cases, according to Rabbi Yaisi? I would have understood one from another for Rabbi Yaisi. And for the Gemara, L'Rabbanan Itzrich, it's needed for the Rabbanan. What does that mean? Lashmuinon milsa the Rabbanan. The Mishnah says two cases in order to let us know the opinion and the words of Rabbanan. Taninu l'tarvayu. That's why the Mishnah learned both. Taninu l'tarvayu, they learned both. Ve'i tana kelim bereisha. And if the Mishnah would have learned the case of vessels first, halchanami, so also, indeed, the loy itztrichsu, I wouldn't need any more lemisni to learn mois money. If the Mishnah would have said the case of vessels first, you're right, I wouldn't need a case about money. Avol, but hashta the tani mois bereisha. Now that the Mishnah learned the case of money first, tani kelim, but also learned the case of kelim. Lemeimar, to say, loy zu bilvad. Not only this, the lake up Seda, that there isn't a loss. The shviras keli, in breaking a keli. Not only do you say, give a little bit to this one, a little bit to this one. Not only do you say that you give a little bit to this one, a little bit to this one, where there's no loss, when you're not breaking a keli, when we're dealing with money, ella rather, avzu, even this one, the ikap seda, the gadol, where there is a loss of the bigger one, amri anachi, we say so. The chacham hold, they give a little bit to this one, a little bit to that one, even when there is a loss. Hatzlach harabu muflaga, and with all this Torah learning, we should be zeicha to the galus of the Rebbe, and we should be zeicha taka the Eliyahu, we should come and give us the good information of Mashiach Tzidkenu, and Mashiach should even come even earlier than that, right away. Shouldn't wait for Eliyahu and the whole process involved. We should be zeicha to Mashiach take from Yad Mamish.